everyone, Jai Hind and welcome to the platform of Shriram Zayed. आप सभी का स्वागत है श्रीराम जायद के प्लेटफॉर्म पर and today's session will be discussing about the cabinet as well as we'll be talking about the council of ministers in the next 20 minutes और इनके बारे में बात करेंगे. In the last session we have spoken about the Prime Minister of India, but before moving ahead, let me tell you that we are offering you with free 1:1 mentorship at Shriram Zayed. If you are stuck at any place in your UPSC preparation, what you can do is that you can fill out the Google form that is given in the description box, and ultimately our trusted mentors will get connected with you and they will solve any kind of problem that you are encountering while preparing for the civil services exam. Alright, now coming back to the cabinet. The cabinet is the pivot of the entire political system, and this was said by Sir Ivor Jennings. Now, when it comes to the constitutional framework, I have told you this even in the when we were discussing about the constitutional framework for the Prime Minister, that for the cabinet, the constitutional framework is given under Part 5 of the Constitution under Articles 74 and 75 that defines the Council of Ministers, under Part 5 and also Article 74(1), which says that Council of Ministers with the Prime Minister at the head will be there to aid and advise the President, and this aid and advice will be final and binding on the President of India. And even Article 75 that deals for the appointment, tenure and responsibility of different ministers. When it comes to the nature of system of the democracy that we have adopted the parliamentarian system of the democracy, where we have the parliamentary executive, where president is a nominal executive while the real power is there in the Council of Ministers, which is headed by the Prime Minister, and the real executive is actually the Council of Ministers. And we have dual executives. We have de jure head, and that is the President of India, but when we talk about the de facto head, that is the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers. Alright, and in the British cabinet model, there is collective responsibility and political accountability as well that we have adopted for the Indian framework when it comes to the Council of Ministers. Now, when it comes to the composition of the Council of Ministers, you must have heard that he is Cabinet Minister, he is Minister of State, he is Minister of Independent Charge, and earlier there used to be Deputy Ministers as well. Now, they are not appointed in today's arena. When it comes to the Cabinet Minister, they are the important ministers, because they head the important ministries and they form the inner core for the decision making of the the executive, the inner core of the executive, which forms the decisions in day-to-day life, and they take the key decisions related to the administration of the government. So that is the cabinet. And like for example, we have Home Minister, Defense Minister and Finance Minister. There will always be a rank of the cabinet minister. Then comes the Minister of State. Now, the Minister of State are basically, they are just below the Cabinet Minister. Please remember over here, when I am saying Minister of State, so it does not have anything to do with the state. This is just a kind of rank. Minister of State. Now, there would be instances where there would be certain ministries where there will be no Cabinet Minister. Alright, like for example, Skill Development Ministry or Youth Affairs Ministry, there is no Cabinet Minister that is present over there. So, there the Minister of State will, he will function with the independent charge. And when we are saying Minister of State with the independent charge, that means that there is no Cabinet Minister above him. Alright, so they are in charge of the specific departments which are not under any cabinet minister. But if there is a cabinet minister, there is no cabinet minister, there would be a Minister of State with independent charge. But if there will be a cabinet minister, there would be the Minister of State. They will assist the cabinet minister in the administration. And when I talk about the deputy minister, earlier they used to be appointed, but now they are rarely appointed, because after the 91st Amendment Act, this was done that the total strength of the Council of Ministers that cannot exceed 15% of the Lok Sabha member. So ultimately now the deputy ministers, they are not appointed. Their appointment is done by the president. Alright, it is the president who appoints the ministers on the advice of the Prime Minister, and they hold the office during the pleasure of the president. However, this is in words. but in practice, they hold the minister, hold their office under the discretion of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister can appoint anyone as minister anytime, and he can dismiss any minister at any point of time by advising the President on the behalf. Alright, there is entire Council of Ministers, they sink and swim together, and they are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha or the House of People, and they must be member of the Parliament. And if they are not member of the Parliament, that is either House, whether it is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, if they are not member of the Parliament, then in that case, what will happen? They need to get elected or nominated within the next 6 months, that I told you in the case of Prime Minister as well. Now, the oath to the members is administered by the President as per Article 75(4), where they take the oath of faith and allegiance to the Constitution along with secrecy and faithful discharge of their duties. And this is required because this ensures ministerial integrity as well as accountability as per the Central Vigilance and the Cabinet Secretariat guidelines. There are certain articles which are related to the Council of Ministers. These are the articles, you can take a note of them. Article 74, that says that there will be a Council of Ministers to aid and advise the President. Then Article 75, which deals with appointment, tenure and responsibility. Article 77, that is for the conduct of business of the Union Government. And then Article 78, that gives the duties of Prime Minister with regards to the President of India. And we have Article 88, that provides for the rights of ministers to speak freely in the Parliament. Now, when it comes to the function of the Council of Ministers, they formulate the policies and as well as they execute the policies, whether it is national or the international policies that we are speaking about. There is also interministerial harmony and cooperation that exists between the different ministries, and also they have legislative responsibilities because they introduce and defend the bills in the Parliament. Along with this, they have the role of the financial management as well, because the budget is basically prepared by them, then it is presented and passed by the Parliament. And ultimately, they have the advisory role as well, because they advise the President on different appointments, ordinances and resolution as well. So when it comes to the function of the Council of Ministers, they are the heart of administration and the legislative functions of the Union Government that we have. They have collective responsibility. According to Article 75(3), they are collectively, or the entire Council of Ministers, it is jointly accountable to the Lok Sabha. Alright, even if a person or a minister is member of the Rajya Sabha, for his function, he will be accountable to the Lok Sabha. Just like we had Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. He was member of Rajya Sabha, but as a Prime Minister or as a minister, Prime Minister is just first among the equals. So, he, for any part of the actions that he will do, he will be responsible in Lok Sabha, and whenever it will be required, he will have to put forward his views in front of the Lok Sabha. Also, if the Lok Sabha passes the no confidence motion, all the ministers, they must resign immediately, and this ensures unity of purpose and policy across the complete government. There had been historical example where in 1979, Morarji Desai's government had resigned after losing the majority support, and this is central to or cornerstone of the parliamentary democracy that we have. Another type of responsibility when it comes to ministers is individual responsibility, where they are accountable to the Prime Minister and they are individually responsible to the Prime Minister himself. Alright. Over here, the Prime Minister can recommend the dismissal or reshuffle of his ministry, and this keeps the administrative efficiency intact. Alright, like for example, there could be dismissal due to corruption, removal for the policy failures, or ministerial reshuffles that ensures the internal discipline as well as the coordination among the different ministers that are there. Alright, when it comes to the legal responsibility, so there is no, please remember this, there is no legal responsibility when it comes to ministers in India. There is no legal responsibility. Alright, please remember this, this is very important. Now when it comes to the cabinet, Cabinet is the core of the Council of Ministers. You can see that it is a very small body that is or that comprises of the ministers, and that is called as Cabinet. It is a smaller body within the Council of Ministers that is composed of the senior members or ministers who head the key departments which are there in the government, and it has the origin from the British practice. Alright, not explicitly it is mentioned in the constitution, and of course the word cabinet was never mentioned in the original constitution. It was only after the 44th Amendment Act that you will find the mention of the cabinet in the constitution, and it functions as the decision-making nucleus of the Council of Ministers, formulates the major policies and also ensures the collective responsibility of the Council of Ministers. So, like I said, in the 44th Amendment Act, the term cabinet was inserted in the constitution. However, before this, there was no term of cabinet in the constitution, and it was added into Article 352(3), where it says that the president shall not issue the proclamation of emergency unless it is recommended by the cabinet in writing. So over here, please remember that the cabinet is recognized constitutionally only during the emergencies and not otherwise. When it comes to the composition or structure of the cabinet, we have the inner cabinet. The inner cabinet comprises of Prime Minister and the key ministers, like we have External Affairs, Defence, Home, and even Finance. So they are the strategic policy makers which we have. Then comes the extended cabinet. The extended cabinet includes the inner cabinet along with the other cabinet ministers as well, and they are present in the regular cabinet meetings whenever it is held. And then we have also the cabinet committees. We have specialized committees which handle the subjects like appointments along with security and even economic affairs. So this is the structure of the cabinet. These are the cabinet committees. Please remember, these cabinet committees are not formed constitutionally. They are formed constitutionally, but there is a specific rule, and they are formed under the Transaction of Business Rules 1961 that was formed by the process or the powers that are given under Article 77(3). Over here, we have different cabinet committees. We have Appointments Committee of the Cabinet. We have Cabinet Committee on Security. We have CCEA or Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. We have CCPA, that is Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, and also CCPA, the Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs. They help to divide the workloads between the cabinet ministers, and ultimately they ensure that there would be specialized decisions that would be taken by the cabinet. So when it comes to the functions of the cabinet, there are different functions. It formulates the national policies and the priorities, or it coordinates the major ministries. Also, it supervises administration of laws, manages crises and emergencies, control appointments and foreign affairs, and prepare budgetary framework. Therefore, when it comes to the government administration, the cabinet is actually the steering wheel of the government. Now, when it comes to the relationship between Prime Minister, Cabinet and Council of Ministers, Prime Minister is the head of the Council of Ministers and Cabinet as well, and he is the real head of the executive. Then comes the Cabinet. The Cabinet is the inner core, and they are the major policy deciders or deciders. Alright, they decide the major policies, key policies, and then we have the Council of Ministers, which is a larger body which executes and assists in the governance and ultimately formulating the policies for the nation as well. So it is Prime Minister, then Cabinet, and then Council of Ministers. That is the hierarchy, and that ensures both efficiency as well as accountability when it comes to the ministers. Now there is Cabinet Secretariat as well, which is an administrative backbone and supports the Cabinet. It is headed by Cabinet Secretary, who is the senior most IAS officer, and the functions of the Cabinet Secretariat is basically the agenda, preparation and coordination of the Cabinet meetings, as well as the communication of Cabinet decisions and policy monitoring and interministerial coordination when it comes to the ministries, different ministries that is there, and it ensures the procedural discipline in the government functioning as well. When it comes to the British and the Indian cabinet, you can see that we can compare both of them. When it comes to the head, in Britain as well, it is headed by the Prime Minister, and in India as well. When it comes to the monarch's role, there is a formal assent, but in the form of India, we have president's formal assent when it comes. So over here, we have in Britain, we have monarch, but we have elected, head of the nation, that is president, that is there in India. At the same time, the collective responsibility in Britain lies to the lower house again. Over here, when it comes to the Britain, it is the House of Commons, that is the lower house, and in India as well, it lies to the lower house. So again, the collective responsibility is towards the lower house, House of Commons, and to Lok Sabha. And in the terms of the Britain, the cabinet secrecy is conventional, but at the same time, there is constitutional oath and the rules that determines the cabinet secrecy. And when it comes to the size, we have we have larger size due to the coalition era when it comes to the cabinet. But at the same time, we have small and compact cabinets when it comes to the British, design or the British governance model. Now, when it comes to the significance, so of course, the Council of Ministers and Cabinet, they hold real significance because they decide the policy as well as the government they are government instrument for the policy framework as well as the leadership that we see in India. All right. Along with this, the executive coordination leads to the political stability when it comes to the ruling party as well as the union government. At the same time, they embody the principle of responsible government because they are collectively responsible towards the Lok Sabha. Alright. Also, they maintain the consistency and therefore there is policy continuity, and they are collectively accountable to Parliament, or to be exact, they are collectively accountable to Lok Sabha. Alright. Not exactly Parliament, because they are not they are not responsible, or they are not accountable to the Rajya Sabha, but they are accountable to the Lok Sabha. So in the words of Granville Austin, the Council of Ministers is the connecting tissue of India's constitutional system that you can see. Alright, so in the conclusion, I will tell you that the Council of Ministers, they are the constitutional executives, and the cabinet is the functional and the political core of the Council of Ministers. Together, they ensure that there will be unity in polity as well as accountability to Parliament and balance between leadership and democracy. And in the words of D.D. Basu, the cabinet is the life and soul of the parliamentary democracy that you can see. So that would be all in today's session. I hope that you have now complete understanding of the cabinet as well as Council of Ministers in India. So that would be all in today's session. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me over here. Please do not forget to like, share as well as subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Bye-bye and Jai Hind. Thank you.